Fidelity Investment is a company that's been in business for 74 years. They were first started in 1946. Today, it has 7.8 trillion USD under management. It is a company with both 30 million brokerage accounts and 30 million individual investors. Fidelity Investments has just shared an article called Gradually, Then Suddenly, Bitcoin Obsoletes All Other Money. This is legitimately one of the most insightful pieces that I have read on Bitcoin in a while. It was only published a few days ago. In this video, I'm going to clue you in to information that unfortunately it's going to take the general public, some of them, years to realize this. And as we read this, I want you to remember one thing. There is not enough whole Bitcoins to go around. Fidelity, obviously into Bitcoin. Well, they couldn't offer one whole Bitcoin to its millions of clients, even if they wanted to. Obviously, clients under Fidelity will only ever be able to own a fraction of a Bitcoin. And that's okay, actually. That's the future, stacking sats. The point is, if you even own a large fraction of a Bitcoin today, let alone one whole Bitcoin or more, you are in an elite class. That being said, let's dive into this article. This is an article I am sure all senior management at Fidelity have had the opportunity to read, and all clients of Fidelity now have the opportunity to read. This is the education that Fidelity is pumping out. When it comes to Bitcoin adoption, there are generally two rules that never seem to fail. Everybody always feels late, and everybody always wishes they had bought more Bitcoin. There are exceptions to every rule, of course, but Bitcoin has an uncanny ability to screw with human psyche. It turns out that 21 million is a scarily small number, and it actually becomes smaller as more individuals come to understand that the fixed supply of Bitcoin is credibly enforced and that monetary networks converge on a single medium. Demand for Bitcoin is driven by the credibility of its monetary properties and the convergent nature of money. But increasing demand for Bitcoin reinforces the scarcity of Bitcoin's fixed supply. As it does, Bitcoin becomes more valuable as a monetary medium. And while this becomes evident the further down the Bitcoin rabbit hole one travels, it is not uncommon for individuals on the periphery to be overwhelmed by the sheer number of cryptocurrencies that there are. Sure, Bitcoin is in the lead today, but there are thousands. How do you know that Bitcoin is not MySpace? How can you be sure that something new doesn't overtake Bitcoin? This may sound crazy to believe that Bitcoin will be the dominant global currency, and it is crazy if you're evaluating this possibility from top-down, probability-weighted perspective. Today, Bitcoin's just a drop in the bucket when you compare to wealth buckets in the traditional financial space. Gold alone has a purchasing power of 8 trillion, 50 times the size of Bitcoin. So what are the chances that an 11-year-old internet sensation rises from the ashes from the 2008 financial crisis and goes from nothing to becoming the dominant global currency? This idea sounds laughable, or at the very least, it appears too low of a probability to warrant consideration. However, when starting from the bottom up and developing conviction around a few foundational principles, the noise of 1,000 cryptocurrencies fades to the background. When added together, just a few foundational principles create simplicity and clarity around what once may have seemed too complex to possibly discern. If someone had to evaluate 1,000 possibilities to come to the right solution, it may not be practical or even possible, but if you could eliminate 999 of those possibilities based on one or a few starting principles, then it becomes more practical to arrive at a coherent answer. By the way, guys, if you're getting any value in this video whatsoever, do me a favor, hit the like button. Just take 2 seconds, hit that thumbs up, help get this information out there to as many people as possible, because this is digital gold. I mean, Bitcoin is digital gold, but this is digital gold in another way. And we're going to skip around a little bit. I know your time is valuable. Really, if what I'm reading interests you, you should take the time, read the whole thing. I mean, this is what Fidelity's clients and management team have the opportunity to read. So like it, retweet it. Economic systems converge on a single monetary medium. That's Bitcoin. Late-stage Silicon Valley thinking has many people believing that hundreds, if not thousands, of currencies may exist in the future. The machines are going to do all the calculations. AI and quantum will handle it. An intellectually safe view to hold is that, yes, 95% of cryptocurrencies will probably fail, but there are some interesting projects. It is inherently difficult to know which will succeed. Much like venture capital investing, most will fail, but ones that will win big. At least this is what most of Silicon Valley would have you believe, because it is a defensible parallel to historical experiences investing in companies. In reality, it is a blanket hedge lacking in first principles. It is also applying a familiar formula to an entirely distinct class of problem. While it might seem logical to form a mental framework around Bitcoin in relation to the rhyming history of tech startups, there can be no comparison whatsoever because Bitcoin is money, not a company. Yada, yada, yada. They explain how Bitcoin works. They talk about the governance, the consensus, the network effect. They talk about how money comes to be, i.e. see the Bitcoin standard. As adoption of Bitcoin's monetary network increases by an order of magnitude, 10x, possible network connections increase by 2 orders of magnitude, 100x. While this helps demonstrate the mutual benefits of adoption, it also highlights the consequences of converting value into a smaller monetary network. A network that is 1/10 the size has 1% of the number of potential connections. Not every network distribution is equal, but a larger monetary network translates to a more reliable constant to communicate information. Greater density, more relevant information, and ultimately a broader range of choice. Yes. So this next paragraph actually really stood out to me. Pay attention, because the elephant in the room is, hey, you say everything converges onto one medium? Well, how come we have the dollar, the euro, the yen, the pound, the franc, the yuan, the ruble, the lira, the peso? All of these coexist today. But this is not a natural function of an open global economy. Instead, each fiat currency that exists today emerged as a fractional representation of gold, which the world had previously converged upon as a monetary standard. None would subsist without the forces of government intervention, nor would any fiat currency have ever emerged if not for the prior existence and limitation of gold as a monetary medium. Modern monetary theorists and gold bugs alike will never admit it, but the calamity that is all fiat systems is nothing more than the manifestation of gold's failure as a monetary medium. It's a dead man walking. The gold standard was formally abandoned in 1971, and the subsistence of jurisdictional fiat systems since then merely represents a transient departure from the free market monetary forces. What a tongue twister. Modern fiat systems have only managed to survive as long as they have because a solution to the very problem created by fiat did not exist. Bitcoin is that solution. And ever since its creation, individuals have been converging upon its new monetary standard, a trend that will only continue as knowledge naturally distributes. And then it goes on to talk about how all roads converge on Bitcoin, the great constant, finite scarcity. It really takes the time to educate people on Bitcoin's monetary policy and why it's risky, but it's likely that Bitcoin will succeed if everything goes fairly well. The point is, Bitcoin is 11 years old, and this is just the beginning. We are all incredibly early on this thing. Everybody's going to look back at times like these and wish they bought more Bitcoin. You will be the Bitcoin elite in the future if you hold one Bitcoin. You will be the Bitcoin elite in the future if you hold a fraction of a Bitcoin. The writing is on the wall, and Fidelity is sending this out to its millions and millions of clients. So now it's your turn. It is your turn to send out this video or this article to your no-coiner friends. This was just written today or a week ago. Very recent information and great perspective. If you can get one person off zero, and you'll have done your job, because Bitcoin isn't going away. It's been around 11 years. It has, take a look at this, it has the biggest market cap compared to any of the other top cryptocurrencies. It's probably going to be around another 11 years, and we'll see besides that. So if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe for daily videos. Again, if you got value, give this video a like, and I will see you tomorrow for daily crypto coverage.